Few people in history have left such a lasting impact as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. His life is a source of motivation because it shows the best of character, faith, and strength. For us Muslims, the Prophet, peace be upon him, is the ideal role model, and following his way of life is essential. This video explores the 10 habits that defined the Prophet's, peace be upon him, greatness, and how these principles can be applied into our lives. Number 1. Long-term devotion. The first habit we look at on our path to religion and self-improvement is consistent devotion. This was the most important thing in Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, life, and it shows how devoted he was to Allah. He always prayed, thought deeply about spiritual things, and followed Islamic beliefs to the letter. Consistent devotion for us means making prayers, studying the Quran, and thinking about Allah a normal part of our daily lives. It's about making a routine that takes care of our mental health. According to Sahih Bukhari, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "The most beloved deed to Allah is the most regular and constant, even if it was small." This shows how important it is to be consistent in our commitment, no matter how big or small. To make this a habit, start by setting daily times to pray and think about the Quran. Just like you would for any other important meeting, make these habits a must in your daily life. Not only are you doing it because you have to, but you are also bonding with Allah and asking Him to guide you in every part of your life. Don't forget to take care of your spiritual link every day before we move on to the next habit. To help spread the deep lessons of Islam, please subscribe and let us know what you think in the comments. Number 2. Kindness and compassion. Compassion and mercy are the second most important Islamic habit. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a great example of these traits. His life showed how kind and caring he was, not just to his friends and family, but also to strangers and people who didn't agree with him. As part of this habit, we should put others' wants before our own and be kind to them. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "The merciful reward those who are merciful. Be kind to people on earth, and those in heaven will be kind to you." Tirmidhi. This important lesson tells us that Allah's kindness to us is directly linked to our kindness to others. To make this a habit, first pay attention to how you treat other people, no matter what their background or status is. Help others without expecting anything in return. Forget easily and be patient and understanding, especially when things get tough. Being compassionate and merciful isn't just about doing big things. Sometimes it's the little things that mean the most. Number 3. Seeking knowledge. Getting more information is the third habit that will change your life if you follow the way of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. His commitment to learning and teaching became a foundation for Islamic tradition. He showed that seeking knowledge is a path that lasts a lifetime and makes the mind and soul stronger. He said, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim," Ibn Majah. This strong hadith shows how important it is in Islam to keep learning and growing intellectually. It's not just religious information, it includes all kinds of learning that help us figure out how the world works and where we fit in it. For this trait to become a part of our lives, we should be curious and open-minded. Read and think about what the Quran and Hadith say, but also learn about other things that interest you. It could be art, history, science, or any other subject that helps you see and understand the world in a new way. To gain information, you have to question, think about, and talk about ideas with other people. It's an ongoing process. We learn from both books and the thoughts and experiences of those around us. You can learn more and share what you've learned with others by joining study groups, going to lectures, and taking part in conversations. Number 4. Trust in Allah. Building unwavering trust in Allah is the fourth step on our path to becoming as great as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This faith, or tawakkul, was one of the things that made the Prophet unique, and it helped him get through the hardest times. His life shows that having faith in Allah's knowledge and plan can give you strength and comfort even when things go wrong. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us that we should always put our trust in Allah, even though we should work hard and do our part. He told them, "Tie your camel and trust in Allah," Tirmidhi, which was a deep reminder to believe Allah's plans while also working hard. As Muslims, we should always do our best and trust that Allah will make things work out for the best. To make this a habit, start by strengthening your daily relationship with Allah through dhikr and prayer. When you're feeling unsure or having a hard time, remember Allah's promises and mercy. Tell the stories of the Prophet and other important people in Islamic history who had strong faith in Allah's direction. Number 5, humility. That brings us to our next habit, humility, a quality that was very important to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. His actions show us that in Islam, being truly great doesn't mean putting yourself above others, but rather putting yourself below Allah and His creation. Throughout his life, the Prophet was always humble, whether he was with close friends or people who were against him. "Allah has shown me that you should be humble so that no one oppresses another," he said at one point, Riyadh as-Salihin. This strong message stresses the Islamic principle that being humble makes people value each other and stops wrongdoing. It has to do with realizing how small we are and how great Allah is. This makes people feel more equal and like brothers. To get better at this trait, think about the Prophet's, peace be upon him, life. Look at how he dealt with other people, how he lived a simple life, and how he felt about material things. Everyday acts of humility can start with small ones like listening more than talking, being open to constructive criticism, and respecting other people's views. Number 6, truth and justice. As we move on to the 6th habit, we come to the Prophet's, peace be upon him, unshakable dedication to fairness and justice. His life shows that doing what's right is not only the law's duty, but also a moral and spiritual one. For Muslims, fairness is an important part of their faith and a way to keep society balanced and peaceful. People, beware of injustice, for injustice shall be darkness on the day of judgment. Sahih Muslim. Let us all remember that. This important hadith shows how important fairness is in Islam. He set a good example by being fair and equal with everyone, no matter their background or social position, not because he was biased, but because they were in line with Islamic values. He never changed his mind. To make this a habit, we should first make sure that our actions and choices are fair and just, whether they are with our families, in business, or in the community. We should always try to tell the truth, even if it goes against our own or our family's best interests. Number 7, patience and resilience. When we look more closely at the habits that made Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, so great, we find 2 important traits: patience, sabr, and toughness. His life was full of hardships, but it shows us how to stand strong and steady in the face of life's storms. For Muslims, patience is more than just being able to handle hard times. It's an active, hopeful strength that comes from having a strong faith. "O you who believe, ask for help through patience and prayer," says the Quran. There's no doubt that Allah is with the sick. This verse not only tells us to be patient, but it also promises that Allah will always be there for us when things get hard. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was a great example of this. He was very patient and strong, even when he was sad, fighting with other people, or spreading the word of Islam in the face of opposition. To make these traits a part of our lives, we should first think about the problems we face and see them as chances to learn and grow. Instead of acting on impulse when you are going through hard times, take a moment to pray and think about Allah. Number 8, charity and generosity. When studying the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, it is impossible to miss his kindness and generosity, which brings us to the 8th habit. These traits weren't just acts, they were a way of life that showed they really knew how giving affected both the giver and the receiver. Charity, sadaqah, and giving are more than just nice things to do in Islam. They are also acts of faith and dedication. Charity does not decrease wealth was something the Prophet, peace be upon him, said. This shows that giving makes us better in spiritual ways that go beyond material things. He showed this by giving freely, often giving up everything he had, to help people who were in need. We can learn from what he did that being kind isn't about how much we give, but how we give. If you want to make this a habit, start by thinking about how you can be more generous and kind every day. It doesn't always have to be money. Sometimes it's time, effort, or even a kind word. Find ways to help the people around you, whether it's by working, giving money to a good cause, or just lending a hand to someone who needs it. Number 9. Community building. Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, skill to bring people together and keep them that way shows what a great leader he was. His method wasn't just about getting people to talk to each other. It was also about making them feel like they belonged and were one under the banner of faith and respect for each other. Building communities is more than just a social task in Islam. It's a moral duty that comes from our faith. Believer to believer is like a building whose different parts all work together, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Sahih Bukhari. This comparison does a great job of capturing what community means in Islam. He helped people feel like brothers and sisters across racial and tribe lines by stressing that our shared faith is what binds us together the most. To make this a habit, start by getting involved in your neighborhood. This could be done through your mosque, a local charity, or an event in your town. Find good things you can do to help, like volunteering, planning events, or just being there to support others. Don't forget that everyone has something special to offer, and your input, no matter how small, can make a big difference. Number 10. Self-reflection. Now onto the final habit, which is self-reflection. Self-reflection was an important part of Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, life. It helped him be wise and make good decisions. He often went to the cave of Hira to be alone with himself to think and get closer to Allah. This habit of thinking about ourselves and reflecting is a powerful one that can help us grow as people and as Muslims. Self-reflection is a form of prayer in Islam, not just a way to think about yourself. We have to look at our deeds, our intentions, and the state of our hearts. It is said that an hour of contemplation is better than a year of worship by the Prophet, peace be upon him. This shows how important self-reflection is in Islam as a way to become more spiritually aware and improve oneself. Set aside some time every day to think about your deeds and how they have affected your faith journey. This will help you make this a habit. Ask yourself things like, what have I done today that has brought me closer to Allah? How can I get better? Take this time to think about your skills and weaknesses, set goals for moral and spiritual growth, and make plans for how you will reach those goals. If you've learned something from this video or below, please share it in the comment section below so we all can learn from it. For more self-improvement and Islamic videos, check out the video here.